Hi Violas, this is for the Christmas Dreidel. So this is our Hanukkah piece. Luckily in this one, everybody at some point gets the melody. We do have a combination of songs. The first song that we're really going to work with here from the beginning up to measure 64 is Dreidel. So when you have those syncopated rhythms, like at measure 22, if you look at measure 22, you have right? 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, right? If you were to clap that rhythm, it would sound like this from 22. So you can hear that dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, right? If you're speaking rhythmically those words, and your eighth notes, you have to just make sure they all line up. So if you have 1 and 2 and, the next measure you have a short eighth note and then your quarter note. And we will talk about syncopation obviously in our lessons, but you just have to be able to make sure that all of your rhythms are definitely correct when we get there. So let's start from the beginning. We have lots of rests that we have to count in the beginning, but they're not all super straightforward. So that first eighth note rest that you have in the measure before measure 1 is going to be the and of beat 2. So I might give 1, 2, and then the cellos will play on that quick beat and. So beat 1, 2, and then you start counting your full measure at measure 1. So then you'd have 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you would play on the and of beat 2. It's super important you come in because you guys are the only ones there. And you start on an A on the G string, right? So you have first finger on the G string, A, D, D, E, E, and then an F natural, low 2 like we've played before, F, 2, 1, 2, then F sharp. So see how I moved my second finger up to that high 2 from F natural, low 2 to F sharp, high 2. 2, 1, 2, and then that brings me to measure 8, where I'm going to the note D on the A string. So let's just try playing up to measure 8, and we're going to start counting from the very beginning, okay? We're going to come in right on the and of 2 on measure 2 with our first finger on the G string for the note A. Ready? So 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, F sharp, 2, 1, 2. So yes, your eighth notes have to be fast, right? Luckily, it's repeated notes, so it should be okay, but try it with me one more time very slowly. Keep in mind, I'm still counting that and before measure 1. So we have 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2. F natural, 2, 1, 2, then F sharp, 2, 1, 2, measure 8. Measure 8, we start on the note D, and we go to a B flat, low 1. So see how my fingers are stretched out? That 1 is going to be behind your tape, if you have tape, closer to the beginning or the nut of the fingerboard. So you have D, B flat, D, B flat, D, B flat, D, B flat, right? So make sure your first finger is low enough and your third finger is high enough on its tape. If your wrist is like this, you will never get there. It's really hard to stretch. You relax your wrist back, because again, you should be holding your viola here, and you move your thumb, you should be able to position your fingers like this. At measure 10, you go to a G on the D string, to an E flat on the D string, another low 1. So it's the same finger pattern that you had on A string, but now on D string. G, E flat, G, E flat, G, E flat, G, E flat. And then you go to a high 3 on the G string for C sharp to A, regular first finger, not low first finger, regular first finger. So you have G sharp A, G sharp A, G sharp A, G sharp A, and you stay on A for measure 14. So let's play again one more time at measure 8. So you have D, B flat, D, B flat, D, B flat, D, B flat, G, E flat, G, E flat. C sharp, A, measure 14, A, and then you go to a B, back to A, you pluck open G there, right? Because you have pizzicato for that one note. And then back to B, open G, then A, pluck G. So you're always going back to plucking that open G on that one note, okay? Measure 22 is where we get to our syncopated rhythm. So you would have, if you just want to maybe speak out the note names with me, you have D, A, D, A, D, A, A. So again, that's D, A, D, A, D, A, A. Okay, be careful about that syncopation. Again, as we've practiced before, I would say the fingering or say the note name, then I would say it and do it, then I would add the bow. But only after I can say it and do it without the bow would I add in the bow. So let's go for measure 22, and if you need more practice, you can do it after the video without the bow. So you have D, A, D, A, D, A, D, D, E, D, B. Okay, going on. You have B, A, B, A, B, A, B. This is a C sharp, high 3, and then D. But you can use fourth finger if you want to. So at 22, again, it should sound like this. D, A, D, A, D, A, D, D, E, D, B. Rest. B, A, B, A, B, A, B, C sharp, D. Okay, tricky. You might want to look at those measures, saying the fingering, knowing that you're playing between the D and G string. Going on, you have a rest, an eighth note rest at the beginning of measure 30. So you'd have rest and 2, and 2, rest and 2. You don't play on the beginning of the beat, of the measure here, right? So at measure 30, you have to find F and E, which are on the C string, your lowest string. So if C is 0 fingers, D is 1 finger, E is 2, this F natural is going to be on your third piece of tape. So you have rest 3, 2, rest 3, 2, right? At measure 30, again, that's rest, rest. Then at measure 32, you go to 4 and a high 3. So that F natural that was on the tape, that third finger, now goes past the tape for high 3. Your 4 goes right next to it, and now you have rest, G, F sharp, rest, G, F sharp, okay? Now, this is a pretty long video so far. Maybe you can get used to just playing from the beginning up to measure 32, and I'll make a second video from 32 up to 64, so you really get used to those eighth notes on the C string and G string, which I know are really hard to kind of maneuver around. Remember, you're going from F natural to E, but then later you have G to F sharp, okay? So you have to get used to moving your fingers there and using fourth finger for that. Also, your syncopations, your slurs, your lowered first fingers, and all of these other elements that will make this piece sound its best. So please practice. Always say the notes, say the fingering before you play. Do without the bow, so you really get used to knowing the notes before you play with the bow, okay? Good luck. Happy practicing.